Hey guys, this is OddOneGaming. This is going to be another Dragonheir Selling Gods video. In today's video, I'm going to show you another team for the challenge boss Tamar that will be using no legendaries for damage dealers. And even at that, I'm only going to be using one legendary in this team, and that's going to be Oggok. And I'm still going to be able to hit 200 million damage on this one pretty easily. So let me show you the team. Now, the team that I'm going to be showing you, it's going to be, apart from Oggok, everybody should be pretty easy to obtain. But it does require some specific artifacts in order to try to push the damage to the maximum. However, even if you don't have those artifacts, I do strongly believe that you can get close to that 200 million. Let me just find exactly that one. There we go. So this is the team. And the thing is, it requires some specific builds. Now, this is a team that I did not personally come up with. I just got lots of feedback on the previous video. There were a lot of you that were asking me, do you any replacements for Twitch, any replacement for Vicana, and so on. So somebody actually commented, his name is I on Discord, but he kind of showed me this team exactly that they use. Now let me know in the comments down below, do you have all of these ones or not? Obviously, let's say apart from Oggok, which is a legendary, I do personally believe that, because there's 1 rare 3 epics, it might be pretty easy to obtain all of them. So let me know, do you have them or not? But let me show you the team, let's run it, and then I'm going to show you at the end, I'm going to show you, the talents, the builds and whatnot, but it does require some specific things, because against this boss, there's quite a few key things that you need to keep in mind, that's going to be the more debuffs you have on the boss, the less damage it's going to do, the more, resist you have, the better you can deal with it, because boss has some quirky things. First of all, dealing that, jumped attack where it can remove buffs and then land the attack penalty. Then on the ultimate, if you don't have any buff on yourself, you're going to be getting stunned plus that buff prohibition. And that's where it becomes really hard and complicated to deal with. Now, the way that you easily deal with that, right, where you're not going to be getting yourself stunned, you're not going to be getting that buff prohibition, or at least, at least let's say you might get the buff prohibition, but you're not going to be stunned, is by trying to have 2 buffs or at least 1 buff when the boss does the ultimate. Because it does says over here, for enemies without any buff, there's a 100% chance to inflicting a stun for 5 seconds. Obviously, if you get stunned, the team goes out of rotation, you're not going to be doing as much damage and whatnot, but you know what? You can deal with it by having, for example, you see that I have 2 buffs in this team. I have the increased defense from Cypherus, and I have the immortality from Oggok. And that's how I can kind of deal with this one, right? You see, I never get stunned. Even if I might get a buff prohibition, that works just fine. You can also try and get yourself a lot more resist on everybody else, but it is a bit difficult to try and get high resist, to try and get high enlightenment for damage for poisons, to try and get high accuracy to land those poisons. So you know what? It's a bit complicated to do all of that, but by just building somebody specific in the right way in the team, and that's going to be Cypherus, you're going to be maybe able to mitigate most of that by using, like I said, a specific build, but at the same time, some specific talents. You see, I'm already past the 200 million, still got a minute to go, so honestly, I'm not going to lie, this, shouldn't be that difficult to deal with. You see that Eli is slowly dying. Now, the reason for that is obviously Eli is rare. He takes, an epic, he takes a lot more damage, he doesn't have the best stats for survivability, but still, my number 1 damage dealer, you see, is Dench, right? Dench, the rare, is the number 1 damage dealer in this team, and that's because of the right combination of stats on him and everything else. So, look at this. This is pretty cool. This is pretty awesome. 206 million, what more can you ask from a team that has 3 epics, 1 rare, and then Oggok, right? Like, most of the damage you see went from Dench, then Eli, then a little bit from Korin. Now, let's have a look at the skill timings. This is something that, again, I showed me. I kind of like maybe did something different. When it comes to Korin, for example, I just let him go full auto. He just activates the poisons whenever he has the ultimate ready. So the more often he does that, the more damage is going to happen. Then for Cypherus, 14.2, then every 18 seconds. You kind of want to have it happen before that 18 second where the boss does the ultimate, but also a little bit after the boss does the second hit, so you don't do it too fast and then the boss removes one of them and then maybe the other one falls, so definitely want to keep that in mind. Then you're gonna see I have Dench at 13.2 every 18 seconds, Eli at 13, he has the Witch's Remains, so he goes before Dench, then every 18 seconds, and then Oggok, like, you know, really close to Cypherus, 14, and then every 18 seconds, because his immortality lasts for 5 seconds. So 14 plus 5, that's 19. That's after the boss does the ultimate. In case you do have that buff prohibition landing on you, you're gonna remove it. But, you know, it works pretty good. Let's have a look at the builds now. So, as always, I'm gonna start with the talents. Oggok, I went down the middle route, so because he's kind of like the main healer, right, in this team. He does the healing when he does his battle skill, when it jumps on you, when he does his ultimate, and obviously getting more healing based off of his HP as well, plus putting damage reduction when he heals is going to be really powerful. Then Eli, I kind of went down the bottom route. You see, I don't even have it maxed, but you know what, for now it worked. You saw the damage that I did, so obviously you can play around with talent, see what works for you best, but for now I didn't have them all completed and it still worked. Corrin down the middle ground, because this one helps, as you know, can grant a lot more poisons. Then Cypherus went down the bottom route. For Cypherus, it's extremely important that you choose this route because you want this talent. Adjacent allies gain 20% of the hero's resistance at the start of the battle. So the more of the resistance you give on Cypherus, the better for everybody else. So if you somehow can get her to be like 600-700 resist, right, and have some survivability, she's gonna share 20% of that. So you normally need around 260 resist to resist all of the debuffs. Then you take 50 away from the elemental affinities, which you should be having fire plus poison as the main one, where you should have gone with that. That leaves you 210. So pretty much 210, 20% would be, you know, would be 1,000. It would be impossible to get her to 1,000. However, I think I have her at like what? Let me just quickly see. 450, 20% of that is 80, right? So like 88, close to 100 resist you get from that. Plus 50, 150. So if you can get 80 to 100 resist on everybody else, you should be resisting everything, even though you don't necessarily need to resist everything. But that's a talent. And then Dench, obviously the top part, so he gains more damage from poisons scaling off of his enlightenment, extends the duration of his poisons, and then obviously increases damage dealt by poison by 30% because he's gonna be the main damage dealer. Now let's have a look at the build. So first one's going to be Oggok. He's gonna have the Solar King's Horn because every time he's gonna heal, he's gonna give us some more damage. We're gonna see his total stats. I did give him some accuracy as well because he does have attack penalty on his battle skill if he hits the boss, and that's gonna help you survive some more. You see 328 resist. Maybe this is a bit overkill. You don't necessarily need this much on him, but I guess just to be safe, I went with this. Honestly, if you had around 100 and let's say 160, right? That should be good because 160 from him plus the 88 from, or like maybe 180 plus the 88 from Cypherus that she shares gets him close to that 300 mark and you should be just fine. And then the important set over here to give some extra healing is Power of Tides, right? Whenever the wearer successfully resists enemy inflicted effect, this means anything. When the boss tries to remove buffs, tries to land remove buffs, land debuffs, he's gonna be healing. So that makes him just perfect. So I try to focus a little bit of everything, right? Enlightenment, HP, accuracy, and resist. But like I said, you don't need this high resist. You can go ahead and just get around 200 and you should be golden. Then if we look next one, Eli, he's going to be my Witch's Remains. He's mostly focused Enlightenment and accuracy to try and land his Witch's Remains plus his poisons that he can do on the battle skill. And then obviously he does a bit more damage based off of his poison. When dealing damage to enemies under poison, additionally deals derivative damage. So again, you're not going to care about crit rate, crit damage, just enlightenment and attack. That's all you're going to care about. You're going to see I got him Strike the Unprepared, I got him the Death Record, you know, all the cool stuff. Enlightenment over here and then accuracy over here. Next one's going to be Corrin. Now Corrin is kind of like the one that has Brotherhood Spirit for us. So the more often he goes, the more often he's going to be landing that damage increase. That's going to just help. Again, you're going to see high enlightenment, high attack, and then high accuracy on him. That works just fine. And he does have this exclusive artifact, the Rikir's Boomerang. Now, this one, I think it does have a massive change. However, if you don't have this one, I would suggest maybe going with the Dawn Organ Pipe, right? If you don't have this, just give Dawn Organ Pipe. He should be giving himself and everybody else more attack because at the end of the day, his damage is not coming from him necessarily landing those poisons. He's the one that enables Dench to do more damage by activating those poisons, right? By doing the poison explosion with his ultimate, and obviously with this artifact, right? I might try to see if I can do a team without using the poison exclusive artifacts. However, I'm quite sure there's a ton of you out there that were like me. They got like 7 Tall Wars, right? Got lots of dupes of him. So with 2 of those dupes, you can get this artifact and then you can also get the other poison artifact. that's going to be really good on your main poisoner. But let's move over to the next one. Sephiroth, I gave her the Rift Hourglass because in order to get her on an 18-second recharge time is going to be difficult, as she has the base recharge time is 24 seconds. So you see that I do have 12 skill haste from this, plus 100 skill haste from the Rift Hourglass, plus I have her in the Puppeteer set, which is going to give all the poison people 10 more ultimate energy whenever she does the ultimate. That's going to kind of, you know, allow her to get to that 18-second recharge time on the ultimate, so she always does it at the right time. And you're going to see when you look at the stats for her, I just focused on mostly resist, right? As much resistance as I can, then HP and defense just to keep her alive, because, well, look at this, she heals based off of her max HP, right? So it's 20% max HP, doesn't say target, it's her. So the more HP you're gonna have, the more healing she's gonna do. And then the ultimates, same thing, sacrifice HP, and then she puts defense up, right? That definitely helps because, you know, you're gonna be taking less damage. Also has the quirky passive that, you know, doesn't really take effect, but because she sacrifices so much HP, there's a chance that she might die. So in order to prevent that, or like, you know, just have a little bit of mitigation towards that, make sure you give her one piece of Mona Lisa's teardrop, either the helmet or the weapon, because this one, when she drops to 0 HP, she gains immortality for 3 seconds, which kind of, you know, allows her to survive, and it triggers every 120 seconds. But the main thing is give her as much resistance as you can, but with some survivability as well. Like from that, you see that I'm going to have resistance over here, resistance here, then again, defense with some resist, more, you know, a little bit of resist from wherever I could get it. I could even maybe, you know, for this, I could just give it some more of the tempering, but for now it works, so I'm not going to stress more. And now the main event, the main damage dealer is actually Dench. So Dench is going to be, again, you're going to see fully focused enlightenment and then some attack. Then make sure you do get some accuracy on him. You need around 210 to make sure he always lands his poisons, because that's where the main damage comes from him. From the poisons and then from the enlightenment and attack that boosts the damage of poison, as poisons do derivative damage, right? Plus also his hit also does derivative damage, so that's kind of like, you know, that's really important. Dench is your main damage dealer. You're going to see I have enlightenment on the chest in the death record, attack percent in the glove in the strike the unprepared with the, you know, quad enlightenment. This is the one that I forged for the piece of treasury. Enlightenment over here with some accuracy, crit rate, you know, a little bit of everything. Then this one, accuracy with double enlightenment, helmet, triple enlightenment in chaos symbiosis. Actually, this one's a mistake for me, right? This one's a mistake. I put the wrong piece of gear. This one should actually be, I have double chaos symbiosis, I just realized. This one should be actually this, right? The, what's it called? Fearless challenge, right? Whichever gives you the most enlightenment. So this one, give me more enlightenment, lose some attack, but this is the important one, as you do 16% increased damage against targets, you know, that have higher max HP, which the boss is gonna have higher max HP than you. Now, because I changed that, I lost some accuracy, so maybe I should try and get some more accuracy from other pieces, but I have a feeling it's still gonna work. And obviously the main event is gonna be a little bit this artifact, a lot, I think, because when the wearer deals damage to the enemy, each stack of debuff on the enemy grants 1.5% damage bonus up to 20 stacks. So this means up to 30% more damage dealt by this artifact. So this one's going to help you a lot, because not only does it give you more damage, but it gives you the enlightenment. However, if you don't have this artifact on him, just give him the Queen's Fan, right? If you have this one. If you don't have the Queen's Fan, then you have the options of you going with the epic one, which is going to be Vile Ink. Vile Ink is going to give you more damage from derivative damage. Now, you might not be doing the exact damage of 200 million. I might test it out with these artifacts when I'm going to have enough Essence of Creation to max them. Just don't have it right now. This is main account. So, you know, you can try and do this. Your Vile Ink is going to be really useful on whoever your derivative damage dealers are going to be. So it's going to be worth investing in it, and you should be getting yourself that damage. But I guess, you know, let me just quickly do a simulation like this with this team, with the weapon changed, right? Because now Dench has that one that gives him, you know, 16% more damage. Let's see how much damage does it do. Does it go up, or is it gonna be good? Okay, it seems like it went down. I wonder what did I do that it went down. I think it's because of the accuracy. Let's see. It might have been because of the accuracy on him or something. This is you know, this is really weird. Maybe, yeah, it might be because of the accuracy, because at 150 with a 50 you get, you're really short on accuracy, and by not having enough accuracy, it's gonna be a problem with the, what's it called? It's gonna be a problem with landing those poisons, and that's where hit damage comes from. So maybe now that I did this change, maybe I need to try and get something else, right? That can boost my damage. Maybe this one, see if I can get something with accuracy and enlightenment. that gives me the highest accuracy possible, which would be something like this. It's a double, but you know, keep in mind, you really want Dench to have accuracy. You want him to be at around 200 accuracy or 190, because this one takes 260, right? But anyway, we're gonna leave it at this. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking, subscribing to the channel to see when I upload next. We can see you on the next one. Peace, love, take care, everyone. Bye, guys.